Hi, this is my Konas Bukane, the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. Today I want to just speak about the implications of running an immature church. We spoke about church that is growing yesterday, but today I want to address the issue of running an immature church. What are the implications? Because there are implications in running a very immature church. And a church that's not growing, that's not interested in growing. We have spoken yesterday about indicators like lack of worship, lack of prayer, lack of knowledge of the word, ignorance totally of the word. And that's what we call an immature church. Now, the immature church is implicating, therefore, if you are a leader or a visionary that is running an immature church, what are those implications, therefore, that of running an immature church? That's what we want to speak about today. The first one is the pastor will spend more time solving problems than focusing on the vision itself. Because an immature church will actually be scratching themselves. They will be calling themselves names and fights all the time. There will be misunderstandings actually a lot in this particular church because it's immature. And people don't respect each other. People treat each other with disdain. And the pastor will therefore then spend more time in solving problems instead of focusing on the vision. And that's immature. And that's an implication. That's actually throwing you back. That's delaying you, pastor, in not focusing on the vision, because you cannot progress as long as you keep on solving problems day in, day out, and people are not maturing to be able to solve their own problems. People are not maturing to actually understand that the spirit of unity is the foundation of any progress in any church. Love is actually a foundation of Christianity that will actually progress any ministry. So the people lack just understanding of those basics. And when they lack those basics, therefore, they live in hate, they're fighting every day, there are disputes every day, there are misunderstandings amongst them. So therefore, as a pastor, it's time wasting because you'll spend more time solving problems instead of actually putting our progress into the vision itself. And that's one of the implications. The other implication you will see, of course, is the pastor is often overloaded with work because of lack of commitment from these church members. Nobody want to do anything. Nobody want to be there in time. Nobody want to be there when there are activities to be done. And therefore, the pastor will carry every load. We have seen churches whereby a pastor would actually even go in the morning in the church, pack the chairs while you're having a lot of members in those churches. Where the pastor will come early and even carry instruments, connect them. And you're having a lot of members in that church. But it's more about lack of commitment. People that come and become spectators in church and don't want to be part of activities and participation in the church. And that's lack of commitment. Because when you speak about lack of commitment, you speak about people that are coming there to spectate, people that are coming there not to be part of what is happening. And they are not committed to this thing. And they decide when to come, and when they are not coming, they will tell nobody because they're just not participating or they're just not committed in the work. When it comes to finances, not committed at all. They don't want to give any money. They don't want to participate in any project that needs money. And that's lack of commitment. And when there's lack of commitment, the implication, therefore, would be that the pastor will be overloaded of work because he will have to do most of the work himself. And you end up actually wearing off as a pastor. You end up being exhausted. And some of the pastors even die early because they're exhausted of the work of God. And some of them actually strain their families and they run into divorces because the load of the church has taken even the time that they need to be with their families. And that becomes detrimental and is something that's an implication that implicates the pastors when you're running an immature church. So that's very key, therefore, that we prioritize maturing our churches. We prioritize doing some work in growing the people so that they can grow and mature. Because if they don't mature, then that implicates on us as leaders and visionaries of the church. And that's very key that we mention that. The other thing is that the pastor often have to travel back for Sunday services, even if he or she is away because of lack of quality leadership to assist. You speak about whereby, say, a pastor is ministering very far in the outside of the country, or inside in the outside of the place where they are, away from their own provinces where they are, or maybe ministering in a conference there, or even maybe gone for holiday. But at this particular time, what it will implicate when there's no maturity in the church is that the pastor has to travel back each time for a Sunday meeting, because there's nobody to take over on a Sunday meeting. There's nobody who can actually be able. And also, on top of that, you'll realize that some of the pastors are actually spending a lot of money in inviting guest speakers in their absence because they're not there. Because they just don't have anybody to take over when they're not there. They just don't have anybody to assist them when they're not there. And that is actually something that's implicating. It will implicate you financially as well, because if you're going to hire somebody just to come and replace you, or to stand in your place on a Sunday service because you're not there, that is expensive, and that actually hits on the pocket of the church unnecessarily. And that shows immaturity becomes therefore very expensive for this particular church. So please let us prioritize to mature our people, to teach them, to make sure that they commit and become members that are committed and that are growing every day and maturing, because that's very important to do so. Projects remain stalled as well because of lack of financial support. You find that if you are starting a project of building, if you are having in an immature church, there's no progress at all. There's nothing that will continue. The project will not continue because people don't even want to give money. People don't want to participate in any fundraising to make sure that the project continues. And we'll realize that even projects like conferences, they don't run well when you don't have mature churches, when you don't have mature members, because they will stall the project. They will make sure they are not actually participating. They will actually drag their feet in everything that has been done. They will not participate in financial injection into the conference itself. So all these things, they are actual stalling projects, because nothing will happen where the church is immature or the members are immature. So that's the implications that are there. So I would love to urge you that prioritize maturing your people and make sure that you teach them, let them grow, because that will help you as a pastor. An immature church fails even to ensure well-being of their own pastor. When we speak about well-being of their own pastor, we're speaking about making sure that the needs of their pastor are being met. Because there are those pastors that are not privy to have business outside the work that they're doing, the work of the church. They are not privy to be having an employment in corporate sector. But in that regard, therefore, the congregation has to make sure that the needs of the pastor are being met. And he's got food on the table. He's got his own livelihood actually well taken care of. And this is very important that we emphasize that, because there are congregations that are immature that will even not think of it. And they will say, why is the pastor not working? And they forget that the work that he's doing is the very same work that is counseling them and helping them with their issues and bearing their loved ones. That's the work that he's doing. So therefore, make sure that you look after his well-being by making sure that you meet his needs and you make sure that you supply his needs, of the needs of his family. And that's very key. And it shows a lot of maturity to do so. And I've seen that there are congregations that will say, no, we'll never pay the pastor, he must go and look for a job. And you forget that he is working you. He's working actually in the ministry and solving your problems. And why your family is still standing is because he has assisted in counseling you. And you forget that. And we always start arguing about where must he get money and so on. And we forget that when we are matured enough, we will think for him and support his needs and make sure that they are being supplied as well. Very, very important, as maturity are very important. Maturity is very important. Immature church fails to make impact in the local community. Now, remember, when you are in a community, it's a community that God has placed you there for a purpose. You have to make an impact as a church. You have to shake the ground. You have to meet the needs of the people. You have to turn the people to God in that community. You have to get involved and solve crime issues or the ills of the community. But that impact can only be made by matured people that can actually identify the issues of the community and address them and be part of that project that will sort out the issues of the community. But it takes maturity to do so. When a church is not matured, they cannot make an impact in a community because they don't know how. They just don't know how. They just don't know how to attend to issues of the community. So therefore, because they don't know, you'll realize that the communities will not even respect the church because they see nothing valuable from the church. And as a matured church, please start getting involved in the community and sort out the issues of the community and make an impact. And in an immature church, always have fluctuating membership, as members are easily attracted by fashionable preachers of the age. So therefore, you'll see that those that are not matured, they'll always run around for the fashionable preachings around, and they hear so-and-so has arrived in town, they'll run there and ignore or neglect their own church. And because they are not matured enough, so therefore, they're being attracted by any sound outside. And that's very, very implicating. And when you have got an immature church, because immature church is not able to look after the local church to make sure that things go well in their own. They run around, hop from one church to another, just because they're seeking either even miracles, they're seeking either messages or sermons of itching ears, and they will run around and they will actually not commit in one church, and they will not actually be a member of a church and commit there. They're not, because of immaturity. So that's a problem that churches would have, and I'm sure pastors have seen that in this particular age and time. Immature church cause stagnation due to lack of prayer. They lack evangelism and they lack worship as well. And I've said this in the past lesson that immature church will lack prayer, they'll lack worship, they'll lack evangelism. So therefore that church will be stagnant and it will not move any inch, because a church can grow only when there's prayer. And if prayer is being valued in that church, a church can grow. If prayer is valued in that church, we're going to see members coming. And therefore, evangelism as well comes because there's prayer and there's worship as well. And when people are matured and they've got a proper relationship with God, you'll realize that the church will grow, because even those people that come and they realize that this church is matured, this church is powerful in running their own programs, that is going to help to make the church actually to be more sustainable. So I want to emphasize that it's very important, therefore, that we consider staggering up our prayer life as a church, make sure that our worship is sound, and make sure that we evangelize as well. Because that's the only time that you're going to see the church growing. But church grows only because the people, it grows in number because the people are matured in that particular church. And that's very important that we emphasize that. I want to end up here today. Your host, Makonas Pokane. Thank you very much for listening to us and be part of this topic. I hope you learn out of this. I hope you enjoy these teachings, and you will be joining us as we continue posting these videos. And I want you to also click on our YouTube channel and subscribe. Make sure that you click that notification button to be notified of any video that we post, and I'm sure you'll learn out of that. Your host, Makonas Pokane. Thank you very much once more, and cheers for now.